Welcome to the Gentleman's Talk, where the podcast talks about a man's battle with mental health, his personal experiences, and his journey to be a better soul. Hosted by James Dean Littlejohn.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Gentleman's Talk. Here I am on a Monday with an impromptu early podcast for me. Normally I do it in the evening when I'm winding down, but I've had such a good day. Despite feeling absolutely rough at the weekend, I've actually got some good positive news that just things seem to be getting better since I've nurtured this positivity around my life. In a good way, and I've got ups and downs and to talk about just from today alone, really. So I started today on the premise that I would do every step that I want to do on my daily routine, because I wanted to just see how I felt, how it fared from the beginning of my day, from waking up at 6 o'clock right until what we are now, 16:58. So 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and I've just had a really, really good day, and I was just so excited to talk about it because, to get such positivity out of a day, I really wanted to promote it and jump on this podcast, and this is what it's about. It's about showing the positivity and showing what it does to affect your day. And I've been engaging with somebody that that I've known for a very long time, and we sort of kind of parted our separate ways, so to speak. Sorry about the little background noise, but the sun's shining, which is another reason why I'm really happy. The sun is shining, the kids are outside playing. It's just, you can hear motorbike noises, and I do pick up on the motorbike noises because I absolutely love motorbikes. But it's just been a really positive day. I've been working from home, which some people look as a negative, and I used to, I really did. But I had the doors open to the log cabin where I've set up my workstation, and I just had the sun beaming in. It's a little fresh, don't get me wrong. It's still not quite summertime yet, but the sun was beaming in, which always releases the endorphins, doesn't it? Get the sun in, get the vitamin D in. And I just had music in the background. I sat on a couple of courses, that were, frankly, a waste of my time. But, you've got to tick these boxes, haven't you? But somebody's put their heart and soul into doing that course. And whether it's for a tick box exercise or not, it's worth attending just to see. You might get something out of it. You might even just meet someone. You never know. So, yeah, I had a fairly good day. And I really wanted to just outline my day. Because as I touched on yesterday in yesterday's podcast, I alluded to the fact that you can't do anything positive in your life unless you do it as a significant change to your habits. And you're probably thinking, well, what does he mean by that? Well, as I said yesterday in the podcast yesterday, that you get up in the morning because you're used to getting up in the morning at a certain time. You go to bed at a certain time. You have your dinner at a certain time. You're only defined really on, work life and things like that. But you still know that you normally start your work day at a certain time and you finish it at your work day at a certain time. So that becomes a habit. You have your dinner at a certain time. However you pronounce it, whether it's breakfast, lunch and dinner, I think it is. I always used to call it breakfast, dinner and tea, but I've been told off many times for that. I don't know why. It was just something that was embedded in me. I suppose I just went with it until someone promptly corrected me and said it was breakfast, lunch and dinner. So you're embedded with these life skills. You get taught to walk, and you get taught that fire is hot, so you don't touch fire unless you're an arsonist, of course, which we don't ever condone, by the way. But yeah, we build these life skills and we adopt these habits to make our life easier, to make our life better, so that we don't have to constantly be told don't touch fire. You don't have to consciously be told every time you come to a roadside that you need to look both ways. You do, and you tend to find that when you come to even a road which is a one-way system, and you can clearly tell as a driver, an experienced adult, that you look up and you can see it's a one-way street. However, you'll look both ways. Why do we do that? Well, normally human nature will dictate that anyway, because you'll always find somebody that will drive down the one-way system the wrong way. Or as my brother found, he drove down a bus lane in a car and promptly received a fine for it. So you can't eliminate everything from life. So you have to take a precaution. But you're taught that from a very young age, to look both ways. Listen, look and listen, I think it was, wasn't it? Look and listen, is that what it is? Yeah, I think it's look and listen. I thought there was a third one. I can't remember, but it was look and listen. Look both ways and listen. That's probably what it was, actually. Look both ways and listen. So, you know, you have these skills embedded. So what we're doing now, what I'm trying to nurture is life skills. And it's really, really important to nurture these life skills. But what's the most important part about it is you need to nurture them and instill them into your life on a daily basis. So I'm going to quickly talk about just my day, not break it down to the positives in terms of some of the extra stories I've got to do and talk about. But what the main purpose of this is showing you that when you change your lifestyle and you do everything on a daily basis and it becomes the norm, you then instill positivity and you become a positive person. And that was clearly apparent, again, by talking to somebody today and realising, you know, I don't think that they realised quite how in depth of a depression I was. And I started my day. So I woke up this morning and I consciously said to myself, you know, I'm going to wake up at 6 o'clock. I'm not going to hit the snooze button because, Christ almighty, I do it all the time. And a 5-minute snooze can turn into, I've switched the alarm off. Oh my Christ, I've jumped out of bed. Oh my Christ, I need a shower. And you just go into this real stress mode. And what you don't realise is you're actually stressing yourself out before you even started your day. So you're naturally, by not listening to your alarm clock and saying to yourself, that is the time I'm going to wake up. And we all like a snooze, don't we? Don't get me wrong. But I wanted to see what it was like to not snooze and actually just get up. So instead of snoozing, I woke up at 6 o'clock. I slowly went through. I had a nice relaxed shower that was followed by my cold water therapy at the end of it. Again, I'm very lucky to receive a shower that engulfs me in water direct from the Iceland caps. It's almost that cold. I then proceeded to feel refreshed, cleaned myself up with a cheeky little shave, not from the beard, but just tightening the lines, and then went through, got changed, moseyed on downstairs, instantly went straight out, walked the dog. I think the dog literally, he pissed himself at one point. I'm sure he did, because he was like, "You're taking me out now? Oh my God." But I wanted to incorporate this because it's been in the back of my mind that I needed to keep that routine. So I went and walked the dog, which meant I came back round, and I've let that lapse for a little bit, and I came back round and I was like, okay, this is a nice, easy, this is a very stress-free environment. The music was playing because I've told us we need to play music in the morning. So I had music on, it was nice and relaxed. I had a cup of tea, or made myself a cup of tea, and I made myself a fruit smoothie. So that was my start of the day. Then proceeded to just come into my working office, start my laptop up, and just worked. And it just worked seamlessly. I had music on in the background, had the sun beating down. I consciously went out at dinner, and I made myself a dinner. And again, for dinner, I thought, well, I'm going to start having things healthy now, because I didn't want to keep just taking on nibbly food, if you like. And we can get all these gadgets that can give us food just as quick. We just don't, instead of taking 4 minutes to make a sandwich, it will take 8 minutes. So it takes an extra 4 minutes, but you get something a lot healthier. So for dinner, I was like, right, well, I know what I need. I'm pretty au fait with knowing what to eat. It's just actually doing it. So I knocked up a couple of toasted rye breads. I had some poached eggs, 2 poached eggs, smashed with cracked black pepper and a little bit of, I'm not too keen on it, but a little bit of, I'm trying to think of what it is. It's a green bloody fruit with a big pip in it, and avocado. That's the one. I literally couldn't think of what the hell it was. Had a little bit of avocado, but I put it on like a layer of butter instead of butter. So, and you know what? It was absolutely incredible. Followed by a pint of water. So I'd already known I was healthy, and I was filling myself up as they tell me to do. And I felt great. I felt amazing all day. I haven't felt bloated. I haven't felt lethargic. I haven't relied on coffee. I haven't even had any caffeine today. Apart from my cup of tea this morning. But I want to caveat that with I buy caffeine free now, and I have one sweetener in it just to sweeten it up a little bit. And here I am now, and I've come to the end of the day, and I still feel positive. I'm going out for a third walk with my dog today, so he's absolutely loving it. I'm getting more time with him. But what I've discovered is all these things I talk about, and I'm going to finish it off with an evening of reflection and actually reflect on my day. But what I'm doing now is, instead of that reflection evening, I'm talking to you for an hour, or as close to. This is where I'm reflecting on it, and I really wanted to give you a positive spin on the reflection as it happened. And this is where I'm trying to promote these things, these coping mechanisms, and where I'm trying to promote positivity is it won't happen unless you change. You make these little changes. But if you don't adopt those changes on a daily basis, you can do them for a week, and you can do them for 2 weeks. You can even do them for 3 months. And we've all tried fad diets, and we've all tried fad cleanses, colon cleanse and, bowel cleanse or whatever. You sip and drink these absolutely disgusting drinks. When in actual fact, when you really get to the crux of dieting and healthy eating, it's not about changing what you eat. It's about having what you eat in moderation, and having healthy things along with it. And that's certainly something I'm trying to promote now. And I'm really, really blessed with the fact that I'm in a nice group with a couple of people that are on that same journey. So we're promoting positivity all the time. And that was reinforced and kind of underpinned, really, with some conversations I've had today. So I had a couple of conversations. One was with an old friend of mine, actually, that I'd disengaged with, not through a negativity, but I'd moved away from social media, as you well know. Well, I came back onto Facebook because it links in with this. It links in with the ability for people to communicate with me. I'm not really interested in it from an actual social perspective, in terms of like finding friends or anything like that, because I'm not really interested in that. I've gone past that part. Whereas if people come into my life now, they're normally going to be in my life because either, they're bringing positivity, or we're just re-engaging on a new level. And I had this friend of mine, and his nickname is Zippy. And do you know what? We were very similar. And what it was he worked for a company and I worked for a company, but we both got handpicked for this job in Saudi Arabia. So I think it was 4 years ago now. We sent out to Saudi Arabia with... there was 11 of us that were handpicked out of, like the talent pool, if you like, without sounding sort of like an arrogant prick. But we were handpicked because of our knowledge and experience in surface finish. And basically what had happened is the Saudi Crown Prince had commissioned through BAE to get a personal Typhoon Eurofighter to be sprayed in his own personal livery. So it was quite a high-profile job. It had actually gone through. So the Saudi government had actually contacted our government, who had then contacted BAE, who then contacted Serco. These were the companies that were involved. And obviously I was, heavily involved in management team with a lot of experience in Serco. So we got handpicked. We went out and we spent 3 months out in Saudi Arabia. Basically all expenses trip to spray this and design onto this Typhoon Eurofighter. And me personally, I love new opportunities, and I certainly love high profile opportunities where I can gain a lot of experience out of it. And I really did. I gained absolutely an endless amount of experience from it, personally and professionally, working alongside a different company in a completely different environment, taking you right out of your comfort zones, whereas I'm used to spraying in the UK where we have to heat the booths. You don't have to do that in Saudi Arabia. If anything, the new system they had in place actually had to cool the booths, which is an unusual concept because you don't really think to yourself you need to cool the booth, because normally you associate spraying with drying times and curing times, and everything has to be at 22 degrees Celsius. So it's quite funny to understand people when they moan about offices and stuff like that, and it's cold, or we've gone from hot to a cold environment. And I tried to explain, for 21 years I went from literally, if you went outside into a 22 and then back out, you were constantly walking in and out. So you always, your body was always up and down with body temperatures, because you had to maintain that 22 degrees at all time to spray efficiently and get the curing times to go in line with manufacturers' specifications, etc., etc. And I'm not going to bore you about that. So anyway, I met this guy, and there was a group of us. We sort of clicked. There was 4 of us basically, and we had, an absolutely amazing time out there. It made the trip for me with these guys, because we were just all loonies. We went down to the local market and bought some aftershave down there, and everywhere we used to spray this cologne into lifts and all sorts, and it was just loads of dumb shit that was going on. But it made the 3 months, because it was long hours, and don't get me wrong, it sounds like it'd be amazing, but it wasn't fun, shits and giggles. We got a little bit of downtime, but it was very, very minimal, because we were on a tight schedule, and when the Saudi Crown Prince says he wants something, and he's paying a lot of money, then you do it. So a lot of the times you think it's going to be fun and just, you must have had a good time. Yeah, we did. We stayed in a nice hotel, etc., etc. But it was 12-hour days, and I'm talking, when you're under the belly of a Typhoon Eurofighter, chemically stripping the paint off, literally putting sander in buckets of water, and you're completely taped from head to toe because you're dealing with chemicals that basically can burn and hurt you and kill you if you breathe them in. So you're fully suited in respirators. So you can imagine the temperature is, I'm not going to say it was 22, because it bloody wasn't. It was more about 27 degrees, and you're in a full suit, double layered, with gloves on, respirator on, connected to air to try and keep you relatively cool. And you're under there for, the best part of 3 hours before you get a break for half an hour, and then you're under there again for 3 hours. It gets quite enduring, and you do that for, I think the stripping phase was something like 3 weeks. So you can imagine it was a pretty arduous job. So you needed a little bit of downtime, but you never really got it. Your downtime was, normally for us, it was the gym and sit by the pool, or we used to go down and have a coffee, because again, it's a dry country, so it's not even like you could experience a nice beer at the end of a hard day. But the experience was amazing, and what it gave me was amazing value for the rest of my life, really, if I'm brutally honest. I got a lot out of it, like I said. Anyway, and I met this guy, and we were chatting, and we kind of clashed a little bit, I think, because we were both kind of hyperactive people. He's a little bit older than me, but we used to bounce off each other. And then there was times where, when you're exhausted, you can imagine if you've got 2 people that are bouncing off each other, it can cause a little bit of friction. But ultimately, you put that aside, and when you analyse it, once you've gone and the job's done, we built up a good friendship, a really good friendship. And one of the bad moves on my behalf was when I pulled away from the groups and such, like the WhatsApp groups, the social media, everything, when I really wanted to rebuild myself to be a better person. I pulled myself away from that group that we was in. So we stayed in, we called it the Desert Rats. And I was in a group with all of them for the best part of about 3 years, until last year. So it's about 3.5 years. And he asked me, he said, "I see you've left the group. I don't want you to go. I enjoy your interactions because you're funny," and vice versa. And I said to him, "Sorry, mate, I just need a bit of a break." Anyway, I've come back on Facebook, and he's obviously noticed, and he's added me as a friend. And straight away, I engaged with him via Messenger and said, "Oh, I see you've added me, mate. Sorry, I've just come back on. It's a new profile. It's basically starting from scratch." And he went, "I've done the same, mate." And we got talking, and now I know quite a bit about him, because once you've basically lived with someone for 3 months, and you're doing crappy jobs, and we spent hours masking up this jet. So, we were talking, and you talk about each other's lives, and you're kind of forced into a situation where you have to get on with that person because you're working alongside them. If you don't, then, it becomes very difficult. So, that becomes more of an adult thing, I think, because I wouldn't have done that when I was younger. I'd have just told him to piss off and just gone chat to someone else. But you just endure it, and you get through it. But it actually transpires, we had a great chat, and we had a great time. And one of the things I learned from him was he wasn't in a very good relationship with his missus. And we were all talking about going to Saudi because they all offered us jobs to go out to Saudi. I, in fact, actually took him up on the offer and went through the whole process. Took a year. And unfortunately, when I got to the end of the year, I wasn't successful through my own personal reasons, which was very disheartening, because I'd been through a year of interview process. Again, I'd been sifted through 20 people for this job to Saudi Arabia, to basically have a 4-year life in Saudi Arabia. Obviously, the finances was very lucrative. It was very appealing. So, we got kind of talking and such like, and basically he was going to go for it, and we all thought about it, and then he was like, "No, I'm not sure. I've got a daughter at home that's at university. I want to make sure she's okay." And it transpired he didn't have a very good relationship with his wife, and I sort of said, "Well, why are you with her then? Sort of thing. If you're not having a good relationship." And he was open and honest and said, we don't get on as a couple, as in an actual couple. We endure each other, because we have to. But we want our daughter to get through to adulthood unscathed and well looked after. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not playing down single parents that do it, but let's be brutally honest. A co-parenthood that is living together, it does make life a little bit easier. Should you sacrifice your life for your children? I think you do. And maybe I'll get some sort of feedback from that. But I think you do. I think when you bring children into the world, you need to give them as much stability and structure as possible. Obviously, if you're in a situation where you're constantly arguing and you're creating a negative atmosphere within your household, then you need to reevaluate that. But ultimately, if you can stay together to make your children happy, you brought them into this world, so you owe them a duty of care, really. And if it's just down to, I don't know, it could be a sexual negative in your relationship, could be a communication negative in your relationship. There's all sorts of elements, and I've spoke to people who've had relationships and they don't communicate, and that's their negative, or they don't have any sex, so that's a negative for them, because it's one of those things. So there is negatives, but sometimes you have to work. You can't treat a relationship as a disposable commodity. You have to work at it, and I think that from my experience, relationships and friendships for me have failed purely because of the lack of support and the lack of coherence between the two of them. And it could work on a friendship, and this works on friendships and relationships. And he told me, and he said, "Well, I'm just going to endure it." And I sort of said, "Well, you're sacrificing your life, mate. You're sort of coming up to your close 50s. He was about 46, I think, 45, I think, maybe 46. And he sort of said, "Well, I'm doing what I can for my daughter." And I was like, "Okay, that's fine." And I get that. You, as a father, you're very protective. I think dads tend to be very protective over the daughters, and mothers tend to be very protective over their sons. I think it's just don't get me wrong, I'm not quoting life there, so please don't look at that as a negative. But it's just naturally you get protective over that entity. So he had his reasons, and anyway, as I brutally digress there, we were chatting away, and he said, "Oh, how are you?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm really good, mate." I said, "I've not been good. Trust me, but this year I've decided to undo all of my hard work, all my negativity, and invest in myself. And this is what this is about: investing in myself." So, along with that, I've done X, Y, and Z. And I said, I've moved to a job. I left the job that was crippling me, which ultimately made me not enjoy anybody that was around me because I was fixated on a job that didn't care about me. I left that. I'm now into another job. So I did that for a year, and now I'm in another job, which I'm happier more because this job now is given me, I've got the experience to enjoy the job at a comfortable level. I've got the knowledge and experience, and that will only get in abundance. But also it's given me that financial stability now. I've worked hard to get to a point where I'm at a more financially stable situation. So hard work does prevail. And anyway, he was really, really positive, and he always has been positive, actually. It's difficult. Sometimes you push people away, you don't realise how positive they are. And he was a very funny character, he still is. He calls me this, I don't know whether I can say it, because it's a very explicit word. But he calls me a fruity C word, but that's what he says. But he says it in such a way that you don't mind it, because any word can be said in different contexts, can't it? But we've had a good time. And he said, I'm super positive for you. He said, you sound happier. And, he said, I've looked at your photos, James. He says, you look amazing. And I was like, what do you mean? He said, you just look really healthy. And I was like, I've just changed my life, mate. I've just tried to move away from the negativity. I was suppressed so much in my last job, right to the point where I wanted to grow a beard and they didn't let me. Now, before you start going bleating about human rights, it was in my contract. I knew I had to shave every day. I just challenged the contract at the end because I didn't understand why I had to, because of the level I'd got to. And I was just met with constant brick walls. And I said, I've just kind of pulled away from that really negative environment, and I've gone into a job where I wear nice clothes, I'm valued, I'm needed. My people, I got a phone call this morning literally saying, James, I need your expertise on X, Y, and Z. And we had a conversation, and I felt valued at that. And I said, I grew a beard because I've always wanted one. And I've just started looking after myself. And he said, not just that, James, I can see it in your face. He said, I saw in the last couple of years how you could tell even in your photos that you were hurting. And I was like, and I didn't really see it, mate. It just became the norm for me. And that was really reflective. And anyway, I said to him on the back of that, I said, how are you? So he said, well, I'm still in the same job, but I've moved away from the relationship finally. And I went, wow. And he said, yeah, basically my daughter completed university. I'd met somebody and I went off and lived on my own for a bit, so that and moved in on my own, so we didn't jump into a relationship because that was unfair. And I went, that's the way you should have done it. That's the correct way to do it. Don't jump from one relationship to another, because there'll be a mourning phase when you leave a relationship. And that mourning phase can drag out for years and actually turn the relationship into a negative experience. And you need to properly release yourself from whatever that negative situation is. Properly release yourself. Give everybody the common courtesy and the due diligence to do things properly. So he did. He said, I moved away, and he said he had his eye on somebody and they'd been chatting and flirting. He obviously knew it was the end of his relationship, but he did it properly. And he said, I spent 6 months just going on dates and just, chatting and texting, and then we made it a thing. And I was like, he showed me a photo, and I was like, mate, you just look so happy. And he said, I am. I'm not in a toxic relationship that was harbouring all of my negative thoughts. I'm free. My daughter is released from university and is now on her way. And I've with somebody that wants to look after me and wants to care for me, and he has IBS as well. So he's got his own little issues to go with it. So it's quite hilarious actually. We were quite wrong, but with his IBS you can't have dairy. And while we were in Saudi, we actually one day we all wanted him to do dairy because we wanted to see what would happen. And he said, well, you don't want it because it's quite bad. And like most men, we're all children at heart, and we never really grow up. We all said to him, well, please eat the dairy. So we fed him dairy, and the stink that came out of his backside was unbelievable. Honestly, he could clear a pub. It was ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous how bad he was. But it was hilarious because, farts and men just go, don't they? The thing is, the ironic thing is, we were sat in this. I call it a pub, but it wasn't a pub because we were in Saudi. But we were in this little room. It had a pool table and a sports TV, and we were all drinking cokes, and we were playing pool. And all of a sudden, I just got this like faint hint, and then all of a sudden, I got a brick wall smashed in my face of this horrendous smell, and he just looked at me with the biggest smile on his face and said, "This is what you wanted." And we all walked off in disgust because it was there for the next 2 days of farting. So we wanted it, and we got it. So, but it was nice. And I said to him today, I said, "Look, mate," and I directed him to my podcast here, and I said, "Oh, have a listen, mate. You probably learned quite a bit about me." And I said, "I want to please let me use this for a positive story, because it just goes to show that he got to a point where he did the right thing. I think he's looked after his children. All right. Should he have stayed in a relationship? It wasn't that bad. And this is what I mean. The relationship wasn't that bad. He just wasn't happy in the relationship. But for him to leave the relationship would have caused more heartache for everybody. So he did the right thing, I think. From me personally, he did the right thing. He stayed with his family unit until his family unit didn't need him anymore, so to speak. We're always needed. And then he made the call to say, well, now I want to live my life. I've had my children. My children have grown up. I've supported them financially and emotionally. And now I want to live my life. And unfortunately, when you have children, that is the downside. You do put your life on hold for a long time, a minimum of 16 years. But I'm 40. And I'm still quite a big, part of my parents' life. I still look to them for advice because, they're your support network. But he said, now I can look at my own times. And his wife at the time, I don't think she wanted to travel much. And straight away, he's in London. He's travelling places. You can see it in his face. He's happy. His dress sense, everything just seems really positive. And I just wanted to share that story with you, really, because for me today, that was like, he's come on leaps and bounds in the sense that from where he was, he's done it the right way, I think, because you still have a duty of care. There's so many parents that split up and walk away and don't think about the collateral damage that, in actual fact, you still need to work at it. And he did. He worked and worked and worked. He said he endured the relationship for 30 years he was married. And this year he said, it was last year. Last year he said, no, I think I'm ready to go. And he did it properly. He didn't walk out of one door and into another bed. He literally said, no, I'm going to go and I'm going to rent some property and I'm going to do things the proper way. So he concentrated on doing things the right way, almost like what you would have done 30 years prior and how you meet a relationship. Because too many times relationships can split up and be negative, but you still have a tie there, and you still have that tie of the family, and it's really hard to pull away from that tie, because you still have a responsibility as a father, and you still have that connection. Some people can do it, some people can't. So I had a lot of admiration for him and how he's done it, and I can see now how positive he is. Now, you get one chance, you get to live it, and I still stand by that. And he's made the right decision. He's done it the right way. if he'd have walked away, maybe he would have been selfishly happier for a lot longer. But you still need to remember, when you bring in people into this life, such as children, that you need to care for them. You need to nurture them. You need to make sure that they grow up with the foundation that you can't just walk away from things. You need to, do things properly. And on the back of that conversation today, I had another conversation, actually, with a particular person, a friend of mine, that doesn't really want to engage with me, which is fine. I'm not too fussed. I get why. But when I was speaking to them, they alluded to the fact that they said, "Oh, you do seem really happy, and I'm so happy for you, and I'm glad you've got to where you are." But it was ironic having the conversation. The conversation did grow a little bit from that, but it was ironic in the conversation. They didn't realise how bad I was, and that to me was the bit that was unfair, because it's almost like saying, "Oh, you're happy now," but I would have been happy before, but I didn't deal with my problems. I didn't grip them. I didn't get hold of my problems. I didn't nurture a positive environment. I was a very, very toxic, very horrible person. I was very selfish. I didn't want to do things with anybody else. Now I'm not. I'm since I've nurtured where I want to be. Like my daughter's had her birthday yesterday, and she got a set of roller skates, and she doesn't know how to do it. And I'm like, fair enough. Well, I'm a bit of a sports Billy. I do like anything to do with sports, and I've always been into skateboard, skating, ice skating, wakeboarding, anything really. So I've got a good balance on me, and I'm quite robust or rotund. So when I fall, I tend to bounce, so it's not too bad. But I went and bought some roller skates today. Nice set of Bowers. Took me right back to when I was young, and got a little pair of 80s pop socks as well, just to really accentuate the mood and make me feel good. And I said to her, they'll arrive in a couple of days and we'll go out skating. But I wouldn't have done that. Even last year, I wouldn't have done that. I would have just gone, "Oh, you're okay." And I remember teaching one of my daughters, how to ride a bike. And I remember how shit I was as a father, because I just wasn't interested. And it wasn't that I wasn't interested in my daughter. I wasn't interested in the activity, because I was in a horrible place and I was in a dark place, and I didn't deal with my emotions and feelings. I just buried them down. And it's really weird, but as I talk to people now, and I talk to people that I've spoke to for over the years, and I try to explain to them how I am, and it's, "Oh, you seem really happy." And I go, "Well, I'm working hard on that, though. This isn't just happened. It's not because I've stopped talking to you or I've moved away or whatever. This is purely because I'm trying to nurture these coping mechanisms and use these coping mechanisms all the time. I'm trying to develop them into my daily routine so I can be a better person." And that's what this podcast is all about. It's all about instilling those daily routines and keeping them as a daily routine, making them the norm. If it becomes the norm that you get up every morning at a certain time, and you go down, you have a warm shower followed by a cold shower, followed by getting dressed, by going for a walk in the morning, by coming in and having a fruit smoothie. If you do that every day, and I'm talking 7 days a week, it becomes the norm for you. So it becomes your positive approach. Nothing in that is negative. It's all positive. When you start snoozing the button and you start having a warm shower and lethargically getting up and having the depressing news on in the background, and everybody's a bit sluggish and there's no one positive in the house, you're starting your day in a negative way. Don't start your day in a negative way. Start it in a positive way. So nurture these positive mechanisms that you're instilling into your everyday life. And that is why I'm here now talking to you 3 hours than I normally would. Normally I do it when I'm just chilling out. But, excuse me, sorry, I'm talking. Is it 40? Yeah, 40 minutes. There we go. I get that windy build-up. But I talk about these things because I want to show you, and the reason I jumped on today is because I wanted to show you firsthand how positive you can be when you nurture positivity. Now, every morning also incorporated into my little routine is we wake up and we talk. I talk in my little group. We all send a little voice message to each other, say morning, hope you had good dreams and all the good stuff. Smash out the day, guys. And for the last couple of weeks, I've been on and off, a bit sporadic with it really. But I've enjoyed their engagement. And I felt a bit like, well, I need to engage because maybe they want my engagement. And I did. I went for a walk this morning, and on my walk I took that time then to hit the voice record button and send a voice message to the guys saying, guys, I'm up, I'm out walking, I'm enjoying the brisk sun, the light is out, and it's a bit chilly, but it's nice and fresh. I'm with my dog. Have an amazing day. So when you promote positivity in your life, you will be a positive person. When you're surrounded by people moaning, and one thing I have noticed actually since I've been working at home is you don't hear the negative moans from everybody at work. So when you nurture positivity, there's no one to take it down from you. So you just instill positivity. I had good music on today. You know, I'm literally jumped in to do this podcast before I go out and do another walk because I want to get out. The sun is shining. I absolutely love it. So I've had a positive and a negative experience, and it does affect me when people say to me, you know, you're in a positive place and I can see what you've done. It does affect me because I didn't mean to be negative. I didn't mean to be a horrible person. But it was nurtured by not looking after myself. Nobody can do this for you. You have to instill these positive processes into your life, and you have to keep them up. When they drop off your radar, you will go back into that place again. It's a constant evolving. It's constantly nurturing. It's constantly dealing with it. And that's where I talk to people. And the reason I keep doing this and keep talking about this is because I don't want people to just do this because of the sake of it. I want you to do it on a daily basis. That is the important bit. It's like when you have a diet, and I said this at the start of the podcast, it's okay having a diet, and you go, oh, I'm going to eat healthy for a week. Oh, I've lost 5 pounds or whatever. That's amazing. But as soon as you eat a pizza, it will go back on. And, so what we do and what we talk about is we say, well, if you do everything in moderation and you change your lifestyle to be a more positive lifestyle and eat healthier and look after your well-being and your mental health by looking for new coping mechanisms and nurturing a positive environment around you with friends and loved ones and keeping them in your life, everything around you will be positive. And as I said yesterday, in my yesterday's podcast, one of the big parts of that was I want people to go out and engage with their friends a bit more, engage with their family, engage with their partners. Because one of the biggest difficulties with me that I'm finding now I'm being more positive, one of the hardest things I'm finding is the people that I've pushed away. People think I pushed them away because, I was just a nasty, horrible person. But what people don't realise is that wasn't me. I wear my heart on my sleeve. I always have done. And maybe when I'm ready, I've got I wanted to do it, but I wanted to just show you how much I wear my heart on the sleeve. And maybe the next podcast I'll do that. And I am a very emotional person. I am very friendly. I'm just a nice guy, really, and I'm not blowing smoke up my own backside and pumping out via the rusty trombone. You know what I mean? I'm not doing that at all. What I am doing is, and there'll be people that laughed at that, so you'll get it. If you know, you know. But the hardship I find is I've lost very good friendships and very good relationships because people thought that was the way I was. And you're only remembered by your last good job. So it's very easy to remember somebody as being a negative, horrible person. And then when you next see them, you're like, oh, well, you're a really nice person. It must have been me that was horrible, or me that made you horrible, or whatever. Or you were only horrible around me. Why are you a nice person now? But what you don't realise is the journey they've gone through. And this is why this is a journey, because I've gone through it. I'm going through it, and I will continue to go through it. Christ, this has been 3 months. It's next to nothing in a life. And I've lapsed a couple of times. But I wanted to just promote and show how adopting these new coping mechanisms and these new processes into your life, these positive processes, how amazing they can make you feel, and how amazing they can make you talk to people, and what a different way your conversation will be. It won't be a negative. It won't be, how are you? Oh, I'm all right, mate. I'm doing okay. I'm plodding on. You know, I remember you used to say that. I used to say it all the time. I'm plodding on. I'm plodding on. I'm getting there. And then I was retract it with, I don't know where I'm getting, but I'm getting somewhere. That's not a very negative process, is it? That's not a very negative aspect of conversation. You're like, yeah, man, I'm doing great. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, we have blips, but yeah, I'm doing all right. I'm enjoying it. When you talk like that, people are like, oh, wow, he's really positive. When you go in and go, oh, yeah, I'm plodding on, mate. God, Christ, when's it the weekend? Because that's what I used to say. That's what I used to sound like. That's what I used to get up like. I used to get up and go, oh, for God's sake. And I'd sit looking at the screen and I'd be like, oh, God, I just can't be bothered with this. In actual fact, you've got a technology at your hands to talk to people and engage with people. Now I've taken a year out of my old life, and I had to do that. I had to take a year out because it was so negative and horrible. Then once I took a year out and pulled myself away from everybody that was negative, and that was finalised in the final part of last year, I then said, right, I need to work on myself now. I need to find out what is wrong with me. I've got all the gear, I've just got no idea. And that is when I turned around and went, right, what do I need to do? And I started doing research, and then I started doing this podcast, which is just positivity all along. Yeah, there's some negativity in it in terms of the topics sometimes, but it's not, because here I am now talking to you about how it's working. And I'm adopting all these new processes into my life. And yeah, tomorrow might be a new day and it might be a different day. But I'm going to start it the same way I started today, and I'm going to start doing that now, and I'm going to encourage myself to do that every day, 7 days a week. Yes, what I'm not going to do is snooze the button in the morning, but what I am going to do is get to the weekend and enjoy the lying, because I'm going to feel like I've earned it, because, you know, I've enjoyed the process of working my week, and now I get to enjoy the fruits of my labour of a relaxing weekend. You know, you've got to, look at the positivities and the way that you can instill them into your life. And we're not talking big changes, we're talking little changes here, aren't we? But I just want to give you a first-hand experience of that, and this is what I was really excited about, jumping on today and going, this has been a brilliant day. I've had a really positive experience. You know, work's been flowing, I've had nice music on in the background, and, you know, I've even tried to engage with other people and organise things, and you know, I got a bit of backlash from it and not really interested. I get it, but I'm trying to show people that I am trying to change, and this was the old me coming back. Of course, with PTSD, you never know what tomorrow brings, and with depression, you never know where it's going to sort of smash you in the side of the face. But at the same time, we're instilling these coping mechanisms to help us to deal with it, and we can be better people. And I just wanted to share that with you. I think it's just absolutely fantastic. And one of the big things of this podcast was to tell you that if you're going to instill these parts into your life, if you're going to make these changes, you need to make these changes on a daily basis, every day. If you want to eat healthy, do it every day, and have one day where you enjoy yourself, or, you know, that's what they used to be the norm, but now they're saying just have it in moderation, because if you wait to have your one day of unhealthy eating, you will overindulge and binge, which is never good for you. But if you have a little bit of something every day, it's better for you. And that's what I'm doing. Little tiny processes are changing. Not snoozing the alarm in the button, not hitting the alarm snooze button, having a nice refreshing shower followed by a cold shower, then a nice walk with the dog, coming in, and I have a nice fruit shake, so I'm filling myself with all the good stuff, and it's filled with flaxseed, and I've researched some really good shakes to sort of bosh down in the morning, and then just nurture that through with a nice healthy dinner, and lots of positivity. I've got 1.5 litre bottle of water that is topped up with an energizer tablet that goes in it, so that's my sort of kind of, I suppose, caffeine, but it's not, it's just electrolytes and stuff. It's a oh God, Barocca, that's the jobby. Others are available. I think you've got to say that, haven't you, when you're publicly speaking. So I have a Barocca, and I have that in the morning, and I just drink that throughout the day, 1.5 litres. So all these little positive changes are making me feel better mind, better body. And like I said, I've had 3 walks a day. I'm going to the gym tonight. Hence the reason why I've done this podcast a little bit earlier as well, just because number 1, I was excited, but number 2, I want to get down and have a sauna and a swim. And just instilling these into my life. And here I am now, smashing my hand up, doing hand gestures when I don't realise I'm on podcast. So there's always a positive, there's always a negative, but it's really good to hear these stories about people that are making changes. I'm making changes and trying to be a better person, and that's reflecting back. A lot of people are coming back to me and saying, you sound so positive, you look better, you sound better. And I've gone, it's not hard to do. It's just got to find something you enjoy and something you want to keep up with, and make some changes in your lifestyle, because you've added those negatives into your life. And whether that be a negative job role, or that be a negative relationship, a negative friendship, whatever it is, you need to find a way to make that better. Sometimes, unfortunately, you might be in a negative relationship that you need to get out of sooner than later, and that actually might instill a better life for your family. You've got to do what's right for you. But at the same time, just acknowledging that making the changes will make a difference. But you've got to keep up with it. You've got to stick with it. And that's the important thing. And that's the only reference I can really probably give you is dieting. If you have a diet, so to speak, you'll do a diet. To me, is encompassed in a short-term fix for a long-term problem. What you need to do is actually have a lifestyle change and change your eating habits. It's not a diet. It's a change in your lifestyle. So you've recognised that having a bowl of Frosties every single morning is probably not good for you, because let's be honest, we don't sit there and portion control ourselves. So you're probably getting 4 times the amount of the recommended dose that they tell you. Your dinner is a fully loaded white sandwich loaf with lashings of butter, sandwich filler, etc., followed by a packet of crisps, chocolate bar, and probably a Coke. And then your evening meal is, whatever. It could be anything. I'm just spitballing here. But in actual fact, if you have a fruit shake in the morning, you have a nice healthy dinner, followed by, I have these little tiny snacks, protein snacks, which are just little like little bite-sized sort of peanut butter and stuff like that, peanut butter flavour, like go bars, whatever they're called, yogurt bars, but they're not yogurt bars. I have the healthy version, the adult healthy version, and I have them as my 11s and my 2s, and and then I have a main meal, and then in the evening, I still get a bit peckish in the evening, but what I've started doing now is incorporating a quick shake in the evening. So it can be done. It's just about adopting those principles on a daily basis. And when you instill them on a daily basis, that is when they'll become part of your life structure. When it becomes part of your life structure, you'll be positive. When you eat healthy, you feel better. If you feel better, you promote things better. You want to do, you get more energy. You're more positive. If you start your day more positive, your whole day will be positive. And you'll feel better at the end of the day because you've been positive all day. Do you see where I'm going with this? This is really important stuff. So I just want to jump on here really and acknowledge that and sort of share some first-hand experience of my day and nurturing that positivity. And like I said, I've re-engaged with another friend again, and I've had an absolute laugh with him all day. And that is because I'm surrounding myself with positive people. I surround myself with my little group, my little positive vibe group, and we chat daily. It's amazing. Although one of my friends was a bit rushed in the car this morning, hopefully he's listening to this and rectifies that. Maybe he needs to start his day a little bit more positively, get out a bit earlier, stop being so lazy. But yeah, it's just about nurturing that positivity. But yeah, I won't bore you for much longer because I'm conscious I need to go to the gym. I need to get my dog out for his third walk for the day. But just want to show you, if you're going to instill these into your everyday life, make it a habit. Make it a daily habit. That's the most important thing. Then it just becomes routine. When it becomes routine, it becomes the norm. When it's the norm, it's you. That is who you are. You will be a positive person. When you start being negative all the time and you harbour negative thoughts and negative processes, you will be a negative person. It's really important to not be a negative person. And as I've said, if you constantly speak negative, you will be negative. If you constantly talk and speak positively, you will be a positive person, and people will reflect on you as being a positive person. I try to be as positive as I can. I try to be as nice as I can. It doesn't always work. That all depends on who the audience is. But ultimately, I try to be as positive as I can. I always have been. Unfortunately, PTSD and depression just absolutely overwhelmed me. But enough of that anyway. Like I said, if you've got any problems or anything you want to talk about, please jump on my Facebook as well. I've got that fully up and logged in so that the episodes go onto there now as well. So, but if you've got anything you want to talk about, you want me to talk about my own life experiences and how I can hopefully help you, then the feedback will be amazing. And I'd just love to hear from you as well. So I hope you've all had an amazing day, or just got through your day at least. Maybe you're on the start of the journey. Maybe you're looking at this and going, tonight is the night where I sit down and plan my journey. Whatever it will be, we're here together to do it. So thank you for listening. I hope you've got some positivity planned, a nice healthy dinner planned for your evening, and don't forget to jump in and give yourself that reflection time. It's really important. I've just done mine now and I feel great for it. I feel really light actually, and I don't mean light weight wise. I mean light mentally. I actually feel light mentally, which is a really refreshing feeling, and I want to keep that going, because I think that a lot of my tension, my stresses in my back and my neck are all caused by stuff I'm holding on to. But here I am now making that better. So yeah, I look forward to hearing from you if you fancy chucking some feedback my way on the Facebook page. And I look forward to talking to you again very soon. Christ, that hour went really quick as well. I was so engrossed in that conversation. It's amazing when you're positive how time can fly, doesn't it? You don't look at the time. So thank you for listening, and I look forward to talking to you again soon. So take care.